The first night I moved in, I caught my roommate whispering to the wall, and that was the most normal thing he ever did. You ever feel like you're starring in someone else's nightmare? Not your own. Someone else's. That's how it felt living with Noel. I moved into that house because it was cheap, like suspiciously cheap. 3-bedroom place in a quiet neighborhood. $350 a month, all utilities included. I should have known something was off. But I was broke, newly single, and tired of couch surfing. When the landlord said there was one other guy already renting a room, quiet, keeps to himself, I didn't ask too many questions. Noel met me at the door. Sort of. He didn't speak, didn't shake my hand. Just stood in the hallway barefoot, in this oversized hoodie, staring like I'd walked into the wrong reality. His hair was greasy, his face pale, his eyes sunken and wide like he hadn't slept in days. Hey, I said, trying to break the silence. I'm Darren. He just nodded once, then said, I know. That was it. Then he walked into his room and shut the door. From the start, something about him made my skin crawl, but I told myself I was just being judgy. Everyone has quirks, right? At first, he stayed in his room almost all day. I barely saw him. He didn't use the kitchen when I was in it, didn't talk, didn't even go outside. I figured maybe he worked remotely or something. But then, things started getting strange. It started with the noises. Almost every night around 2 or 3 a.m., I'd hear sounds, clicking, muffled laughter, whispers. Sometimes it sounded like something scraping slowly along the wall. Other nights it was just heavy, slow breathing, coming from the hallway. At first I thought maybe I was dreaming, but then I started noticing patterns. The sounds always came from his room, and they only happened when the house was dead quiet. One night I got up to get water and saw him standing completely still in the middle of the living room. No lights on, just facing the wall, arms by his sides. Noel, I said, frozen. He didn't move for a second. Then, like someone turning on a switch, he slowly turned to me and blinked. Oh, just looking for something, he mumbled. Then, he walked back to his room and shut the door. That was his go-to line. Every time I caught him doing something weird, standing in the hallway in the dark, lying on the floor with his eyes wide open, whispering in the bathroom mirror, he'd just say he was looking for something. It didn't get better. His room was disgusting. The smell started leaking into the hallway, something like rotting food and wet clothes. Once his door was cracked open, and I saw piles of dishes with mold on them, papers covered in scribbles, and what looked like claw marks on the wall. I never asked. He never left the house, never had guests, never got mail or deliveries. And when he did appear, it was always sudden, like he'd been standing silently behind a door just waiting for me to walk past. One night, I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone. The room was dim, just a floor lamp on. I looked up, and there he was, standing in the hallway, just staring at me. No expression, no movement. I jumped. Dude, what the hell are you doing? He tilted his head slightly. I thought I left something in your room. Never mind. Then he smiled faintly and went back into his. I started locking my door after that. The worst night was when I heard him crying. I was in bed, already nervous as hell from the usual late-night nonsense. But that night, I heard sobbing. It started. Soft, choked breathing, muffled cries. Then it got louder. It was coming from his room. Raw, broken sobs like he was falling apart. And I didn't go to him. I was scared. I lay there staring at the ceiling, sweating under my blanket. My brain screamed at me to get up, to check if he was okay, but my body wouldn't move. Eventually the crying stopped, and I slept. The next morning, I got up, expecting the usual weirdness. But his door was wide open, and he was gone. I waited. Hours passed. Nothing. It felt wrong. like the house was holding its breath. By nightfall, with still no sign of him, I did something I never thought I'd do. I went into his room. The smell hit first: mold, sweat, and something sharp, metallic. The room was a disaster. No bed frame, just a mattress covered in stains. Trash everywhere. Old food, broken things, drawings all over the walls, circles, eyes, random words carved into the paint with fingernails or knives. And then I saw the box, small, wooden, locked with a rusty latch. Sitting under the desk, I picked it up, hands shaking. Inside were photographs, dozens of them, different people, all taken inside the house, the same wallpaper, same furniture, same curtains. Some people were smiling, some were asleep. Some looked confused. Some weren't moving. I flipped through them, my heart racing. Then I saw it, a photo of me, sleeping, taken from the hallway, my door slightly open, time-stamped. 2 nights ago, I dropped the box and backed out of the room. Adrenaline, rushing through me like fire. I didn't grab my backpack, didn't grab my laptop, I just ran. I slept in my car that night. When I finally worked up the nerve to call the landlord, he sounded confused, said I was the only tenant, claimed that room had been empty for months, said he hadn't heard from Noel in over a year. I don't know what to believe. Don't know who Noel really was. I don't know what he was looking for. But whatever it was, he almost found it. And I don't plan on sticking around to find out what happens when he does.